I have been really liking what both of these players have been cooking up lately. Seems like they're enjoying the new multiplayer balance patch quite a bit, but for very different reasons. For example, our Zerg player. He's a big fan of the plus 5 HP on the Baneling. It's one of the least exciting changes across the board, but it may just be the most important one for the Zerg players out there. With the blue Zerg drones, we have none other than Solar. His opponent, all the way in the top right, recently playing a very tight series against Raynor, showcasing some hyper-aggressive strategies. I really liked what he was doing. We're looking inside of the main base of Ryung. Ryung ended up going, well, apparently not in this particular game, but in that series against Raynor, he ended up cooking up a very quick double Rex into a very fast triple command center, and then straight into an 8 Rex all-in, and then he had good follow-ups from there too. The only problem you run into is that, well, Raynor is ridiculously fast. It turns out it's difficult to go up against somebody with like 500-600 APM or so. And Ryung, at least in that department, felt just like he fell a bit short. Solar is by no means a slow player. But, yeah, I don't think anybody would really consider him to be as fast as, for example, Raynor. I feel like across the board, both Raynor as well as Clem are considered to be the fastest players in the entire game. That's not to say that the likes of Cyril, for example, or the likes of Hero are slow. But they're a little bit more efficient. A little bit more effective with their actual APM. Whereas for Clem, for Raynor, brutal speed is the name of the game. It's actually kind of mesmerizing. Like, I've been to so many StarCraft tournaments over the years, and usually there is like a player area too, right? And I don't want to flex or anything, but as a StarCraft commentator, you do, you know, you can walk around places, and I've watched many pro gamers play in person. Raynor and Clem in particular, though, are always ridiculously fast. What always surprises me the most is that frequently at tournaments they will play without headphones on, right? When they're just in like the player practice area, and they're just having full-on conversations with whoever, whilst also playing at like 500-600 APM. And it's fast. Like, the entire left hand is basically going the entire game long. I feel like the big key, though, because I think a lot of people have tried to increase their APM. Like, when you first start playing StarCraft, you know everybody that's good is fast. So you try to improve your APM. But I feel like, at least in my personal experience, when I did that first off, when I first tried getting better at StarCraft, like 15 years ago at this point, it's been a while. Anyways, I tried to press a lot of buttons and effectively play in like full panic mode all game long. What is this? A proxy starport. Okay. I guess we're gonna go for a Hellion drop? That's really the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that is what we're going to be doing. Maybe a Liberator on the back of it? Cheeky plays here from Ryung. Anyways, most people that try to increase their overall speed in a game like StarCraft will play in at least like half panic most of the time when they try to actively inflate the numbers for really no apparent reason at all. But the top level players will be fast, but they will still be calm, which is not usually something that is... Oh yeah, we're just going Liberator. Interesting. It's not usually something you would really expect. So I think we're going Liberator and then into a Medevac. You can obviously fit 4 Hellions inside of a plane. It's all a little bit disjointed, though, because the Liberator does take a while to produce. I guess the one nice thing here is that there's not going to be a Spore Crawler done yet. Normal timing for a Spore is about 4:30 in this matchup. So I'm not expecting one from Solar just yet. But how much damage can a Liberator really do? I guess the idea is that the Hellions are here at the front. He snapped a Creep Tumor, and maybe they can distract the Queens, but the top-level Zergs will have multiple control groups for Queens. And Solar here is, yeah, no different. Maybe, though, upon seeing these additional Hellions joining in the fray, he's going to pull Brenda from the main base. So far, not the case. Liberator goes in, Overlord in good positions. And that means that I think Brenda is going to be able to spring into motion. Now, he's clearly not anticipating this at all. Hellions, in the meantime, drive in. Ryung did a similar thing against Raynor. It's a weird thing that technically can be defended, but we rarely see this in modern StarCraft. It's not bad. All right, nice micro here, though, by Solar in the end. He does lose 8 drones. A lot of lost mining time as well. These workers were misclicked. Ooh, they were misclicked onto another worker. Liberator will survive. Okay. 4 Hellions for this much lost mining and then 8 drones as well. I think Ryung can be plenty happy with how this early game shenanigans worked out. I guess the only downside is that now the barracks, or sorry, the starport, has to fly back home. But it's already arrived. Medevac production will resume here momentarily. YOLOing your Hellions into a mineral line has not been meta in about 12 years. I think it was commonly done in like Wings of Liberty, but then, well, honestly, I feel like if you are Platinum League in 2025, you probably would have been Grandmaster in most of Wings of Liberty. The skill level has gone up significantly since then, and it's rare that you really get more than just a handful of worker kills. Honestly, this is still really nothing to write home about. The main thing, I guess, is the lost mining time. So that's displayed over here in the income advantage. So this is the income over time, and there was a really nice peak in favor of the Terran. But obviously, he didn't really kill that many workers. And Solar, upon defending that, he knows that he's going to be safe for a little while to come. Because without medevacs, you can't really go for any follow-up attacks. And that means that we can just transition to more and more workers here, and a relatively blind 4th hatchery as well, right? He took this 4th hatch, I think, off of like 12 Zerglings or so, which is technically kind of risky, but Terran's not going to be moving across the map without upgrades and without medevacs. And the only reason why that Liberator is able to get into the main base so quick is if it is indeed proxied. So even though Solar may not have seen the proxy, he's still going to be able to piece 1 and 1 together. It does create a very chaotic situation, though. Ooh, 2nd factory coming up in the main base. Armory also goes down. I thought for a second we're doing a mech switch, because the norm is to build the 2nd factory at the front. 2nd factory into a 4th command center. I don't believe that this is going to be a transition to mech. Looks like it's just going to be for some good old, well, probably siege tank production or widow mines. Nice micro by Solar. And soon, I mean, that Liberator is still being a bit of a prick. 9 kills in total. Soon, though, he's going to be finishing up the Baneling speed. And that, like I mentioned, has got to be his favorite change with the new patch. Because now the Banelings get 5 additional health. And it just allows them to stay alive so much longer, especially on creep against the opponent's Marines. So, indeed, 4th command center does come up. It is a normal timing on the 2nd factory, maybe slightly early, but certainly, yeah, in a different position. Normally you build it at the front. Ryung apparently prefers to build it inside of the main base. 2-2 starts up. Same thing here as well for Solar. Supply count dead even. Fight on creep, though, is dangerous. A couple of units do get split off. Nice defense yet again from Solar. What about this 5th? Ryung goes in, stutter steps. I think you target it. Banelings are not quite fast enough, even with speed. Okay. That was tight. In the meantime, there's a Zergling run by 2. Apparently, ooh, it did force the cancel on the 4th command center. Ryung did get 300 minerals out of the 400 back, so he didn't fully lose it. But he still lost a bunch of time. Nice split. Ooh. Very tight split there, yet again by Solar. His beloved Lurker then is coming up. Hydras into Lurkers. This is something Solar does quite a lot, although he's been mixing it up more as of late with very aggressive strats. But I think maybe against somebody like Ryung, he feels like he might be the favorite, although only with a reasonably small margin. So, yeah, maybe just play the strategy that you believe you're best at. No reason to really play any tricks. So Solar really likes a little bit of Ling Bane run by early on, but mostly just defend until he gets up to Lurkers, and then he pulls the trigger. Usually in combination with some Nidus networks and all the rest of it. Ryung mostly just trying to get decent trades here. The Widow Mines are not really getting the best hits of their lives. This little Marine squad in the top left has been quite a nuisance. Yeah, main problem here for Ryung is the 4th command center is just so late. Now suddenly, Zerg is likely going to be able to arrive right as the planetary finishes up, maybe even before it. So if Solar goes across the map right about right now, he's going to be able to really deal good damage against it. Usual first line of attack for Solar seems to be when the first batch of Lurkers is down. He hasn't really begun. So I think that's also why Ryung is moving out. Mostly here to secure the 4th base, even though it is a pretty serious push. Solar only moving about half of his army over here, though. Ooh. Those Widow Mines are treacherous. Here's that hit squad again from earlier. Ooh, nice targeting on some of the Banelings, but lacking just a little bit of that speed. Yeah, and I feel like that's really a bottleneck for Ryung. I know it's kind of rough, but Ryung strategically is sound. It's just that he's like 140 APM on average per minute, right? So that's 140 actions per minute, like down on the opponent, and that just really adds up. I mean, Zerg APM is a bit inflated. It is one consideration to make. He's still looking for a yoink, or maybe a parabomb. Oh. But it really is noticeable in these type of games. Here we go again. Zerglings around the back. Nice splits yet again by Solar. Those Widow Mines have mostly been denied. This Viper is really eager to show its spellcasting, but it gets denied every time. Okay. Solar taking it easy. Yet again, though. Ryung, dude, his movement around the map is excellent. Finally, okay, we get the parasitic bombs over here, and it is dealing an awful lot of damage. Woo! Wow, that's 4 Medivacs dying to the Vipers. You know what? That Viper was trying its best to chase for about a minute or so. But Solar is probably very glad he did not lose it the first time. Because that was an absolute disaster for Ryung, taking way too much damage there from a relatively small group of units. Man, losing 4 Medivacs worth is about 40 supply. Now the Lurkers are coming. Saving grace, I guess, is that he ended up sniping the base at the 6 o'clock position, finally. Problem is, there's already new bases here available for Solar. Still, Ryung's original goal was to get the 4th command center up and running. And it's been up and running for several minutes now. But he still does not have a proper transition to the late game. So there's no Lurkers. Or sorry, there are Lurkers, but there's no Ghosts. And there are no Liberators either. There's the Nidus network coming up as well for Solar. If Solar can get his Lurkers in a good spot, it'll be pretty much impossible for the Terran to stop at this point. But it seems like Ryung is... yeah, he's been given the benefit of the doubt. This is a Lurker group that can deal a lot of damage, but Solar does not want to walk them across. He wants to give them special treatment, I suppose, with the network. So let's see. Ryung still maxed. He's actually got 3-3 done right now. Loads of additional starports as well. Nidus Worm. Back into the main base. There's the Lurkers. And suddenly, this is when Solar will flip the script upside down. Suddenly, he goes from a passive game to a very aggressive one. Couple of Lurkers pop out. Looks like there were some Marines ready to go, but now the multitasking needs to be on point for Ryung. The Terran is trying to move out at the same time. Breaking this position in the main base is so tough, though. Fighting against Lurkers and Banelings on creep is very dangerous while you're simultaneously trying to juggle this. For now, it seems the Terran is able to get away with it. There's a little medevac drop over here, too. Command center itself, that's the old main base, needs to be lifted off, and it will be lifted off, but Solar is still doubling down the aggression. Here's the fight again at the front. We need Stimpack. Okay, he does use the Stimpack. Army, though, kind of caught off guard a little bit. Liberator numbers are slowly growing. Solar's dancing. He's already achieved what he wanted to in the main base. The orbital command is actually going to die. Ryung did not fly it away to get a repair, so that is the old main falling. A couple of Banes slipping through the cracks over here, but plenty of units available, it seems. Will we see repairs on these depots? Does not look like it. Suddenly that means that Ryung hits a massive supply block. The command center itself, of course, also grants a very solid amount of it. So it's one of those weird spots where we have plenty of mining, but we're unable to spend. There's the Liberator showing up. There are some ghosts. As soon as they show up, the Lurkers decide to disappear, and we go for a move at the front instead. Terran army from the main base needs to be cycled to the front immediately. Parasitic bomb goes down yet again. Some Terran units, though, are left behind. Now the Lurkers are available here at the front. Are we going to be unloading? Yes, we are. He's planning on moving them, it looks like, towards the left. A little bit of creep moves in as well in this direction. And Solar is so dangerous at this phase in the game. I mean, he's probably the best defensive Zerg that I've seen on the new patch so far. Look at him. He's really just faking out the moves to enable the Lurkers to move in. Night is Worm behind the Lurkers too, so if the Liberators and the Ghosts show up, you can unburrow and get on out of there. Ryung decides to just rip off the Band-Aid himself, and Solar wins game number 1. And that takes us to the map White Rabbit. Beautiful game. Very well done right there by Solar. Yet again, though, I feel like Ryung, strategically speaking, played really well. But he kind of lost out a little bit on the real-time part of the real-time strategy part of the game. Yeah. And I feel like StarCraft 2 in general is more real-time than strategy. You can go really far with just being really quick. Strategy, I mean, certainly a part of it. But APM makes up for quite a lot. It's actually one of the main criticisms that I've heard over the years, where people are like, yo, StarCraft 2, it doesn't even really have that much strategy. It's just all about trying to do things really quick. And I think for some time, especially in the early days, that was kind of true. But then when everybody at the highest level turned out to be the fastest players, well, then obviously you get to a lot of strategizing. Corners need to be cut, because if you try to be safe against everything, you end up being safe against nothing. And apparently Ryung is following that advice by going for a command center first. Okay, think of the game from like the previous game, right? From Ryung's point of view, what did he see from Solar? Solar played the most conservative style he ever plays. Do we really expect him to do a pull first now and go for something very aggressive? Nah, not really Solar style, so you may as well go for the good old command center first on the low ground. It's a pretty greedy build because it dies to literally anything early game aggression, but he's already gotten away with it, and now any timing attack is going to hit harder. If you want to go for a marine timing, well, it's going to be shifted up like 30 seconds or so. And that is the type of thing that can very quickly carry you to a victory. So I can imagine Ryung is going to be going for some sort of tight strategy. He used to be a big fan, actually, back in the day, of just a good old 16 Marine drop, which is a strategy we rarely see in 2025. I guess just across the board, it's not really something that's been too successful. Ryung, by the way, also a bit of an older pro gamer. How old is he? Let me see. Yeah, he's born in 1991. So that means he's 1 year older than me, and that means that he's practically ancient. I believe that's how it goes. Basically, anybody older than me is ancient. Anybody younger than me is very young. Only my age, which shifts, you know, once a year, usually. Yeah, that's the normal age. That's the, yeah. I think that makes sense. That's a math equation that I can just always run in my head. No, but it is definitely true. Then again, though, Ryung has never been the fastest player in the world. I wonder if pro gamers will slow down with age. Like, say, for example, if we have, well, Clem going up against Raynor in a decade from now. Will they be slower? Because that's what the Brood War community tried to sell me. When I first started watching StarCraft, they're like, well, the pro gamers get mechanically, they like slow down physically at like age 26. And I believed that for a while, until I realized that the reason the Korean pro gamers quit at like 26 is not because they are like physically limited, but because they have to do their military service. There is definitely a physical decline, but it's not, maybe this is old man loco talk. It's definitely not 26. I don't know what it will be, though. I do find it very interesting, right? Because even in games that have no physical component, really, like, for example, chess, the top dogs still tend to be, like, maybe 20 to 35 years old or so. Maybe in chess specifically, it has to do with, like, modern practice. Like, regiments, right? The way that, like, obviously computer systems can help out massively with getting better. But maybe you just benefit a lot from that if you started at a younger age with that exact, you know, system already in place. But it is interesting, because you would imagine for chess, I mean, it's all about knowledge and being able to execute on it. And if you are given more time to gather more knowledge over the decades, you would imagine that, like, a 70-year-old would be an absolute god. I'm sure there are some older chess players, too, that are indeed competing at the highest level, but it is curious. It is a very interesting thing. Now, just like against Raynor, Ryung is not going into cloaked Banshees, but instead we're going into speed Banshees. I guess what I'm trying to say, right? I wonder if, like, mental decline is going to hit before physical decline for top-level RTS players out there. I honestly don't know. Because I highly doubt that, like, physically you're not going to be able to hit the same amount of APM. I mean, at some point, sure. Right? At some point when you're, like, 80 years old, it may be very difficult. But I'm sure there's also, like, some old rock stars out there that have been playing the guitar for, like, 50-plus years and that can still shred. Their hands will be working just fine. Cheeky little Roach attack, by the way, here from Solar. A bit of an odd one. This is not something that Ryung will be expecting whatsoever. There will need to be some defensive units out. But maybe this is exactly what, well, we should have seen from Raynor. Spoiler alert for that series, I suppose. But Raynor ended up taking an awful lot of damage from those speed Banshees. And this is going to now force the Terran all the way back. Zerglings, in the meantime, are prepared to run into the third. These Roaches are here to sacrifice themselves, but they're not going to go down without a fight. Command Center already has to be lifted off. Turns out the very best defense is the offense. Infestation Pit on the back of this. Roach Speed on the back of this too. I'm assuming we're going to go melee upgrades. He was considering it there. You could see him think. He decides to go missile. We are going missile, but we're also simultaneously going banelings. Okay. Missile, I guess it's because he's at an advantage right now, so he's thinking, yo, I can probably get away with like a big Roach type of push. Double armory. Why is this armory over here? Why are we going double armory? I don't get it. We're not playing mech. I think he accidentally made a second one. That's probably what's going on. Ryung hitting a little bit of a supply block too. There's Baneling speed started up. Okay. Now Brenda, Karen, and Margaret have been pooping at the edge of the creep for a while. Ryung hates queens that poop. Wow. He hates humanity. I can't believe it. Especially for a Terran player. That's just surprising. Okay, let's see. Queens are mammals, okay? Even though they come out of an egg. Are they mammals? No, they don't even come out of an egg. Hold up. This little Zergling run by over here, though, is incredibly painful. The base is running low, but there are siege tanks in the back that Ryung is now inviting his opponent's army into. I wonder if Solar is going to lose the base and the army. It looks like he's just barely got enough here with the reinforcing Zerg units coming in. One Hellbat stuck in the corner together with the tank. It ends up going down. Fun fact, actually, when you hover over the command card as a Zerg player, and you hover over the queen, it doesn't say create queen. It doesn't say make queen like it does for all the other things in the game. It says birth queen. And I guess that implies that the hatchery gives birth to the queen. Meaning that the queen is a mammal, I guess, right? Does that mean that the queen is a mammal? Maybe it's like a platypus, you know? Technically mammals, but they also come out of eggs. And they're venomous. And Australian, so who knows if they're even real. Additional barracks coming up. The problem is, just as we are about to arrive at the 8 racks, Solar already has an Ultralisk cavern. And these Ultras are going to hit hard. It's a bit of a weird one, though. Yeah, because he decided to go for that +1 missile first. And that means that now the +1 melee starts up. So we're going to get, like, Ultras with, like, +2, +1. Which is weird, because normally we see 3-3 finishing up right around the time that Ultras do. I wonder if that makes the Marines a little bit better. I think they will. Certainly be quite scary. It's very quick Ultras here, considering the game. Okay, new command center, though, starts up at the front. Little hit squad yet again here of these Terran units going in around the side. And Ryung seems to be really good at just sneaking big armies around the map. You'd imagine that moving a large army unscouted is the most difficult thing. Now, yet again, we have a little Roach hit squad moving around the same path, arriving into Terran's natural. What you have to be careful for, though, as a Terran here, is that when you try to sneak large armies around, you might just end up dying to a counterattack. Because it means that you leave your bases wide open, and obviously your army is going to be in a weird spot, and you can't really retreat very easily, usually. So if Ryung is caught at like a weird moment where the Zerg was just about to attack and he just moved towards, say, for example, the bottom right, he needs to move a really long distance back just to be able to potentially defend, or he needs to move in, but then he snipes one of the outer expansions that doesn't really matter as much for the Zerg. Starport production, though, is kicked in. That is Starport 2 and 3. Blinding Cloud onto the siege tanks in the Fog of War. Another Blinding Cloud. Keep in mind that Blinding Cloud also will affect Zerg's units. So it reduces the range of Roaches and Ravagers. Roaches and Liberators. That'd be a sick play, dude. Hell of a composition. The Ultras and the Lings, as well as the Banelings, though, do not care. Adrenal Glands is going to finish up. We already have the Speedy Boy upgrade as well for the Ultras. Banelings trying to roll through. Little Zergling run by, though. Not going to do that much this time around. Okay. We'll have to see the Liberator numbers climb up. Now, if I can be critical, as we once more have a hit squad that moved towards the bottom right. No, you all army hotkeyed. Okay, we're moving back. One thing, though, that I do believe Ryung really is missing out on in some of these games that I've seen him play is the speed in which he gets the ranged upgrade for the Libs. Now, as the hatchery goes down over here, we do have the Zerg moving in as well through the middle of the map. Planetary Fortress, though, is lovely. 3-3 is just seconds away right now as well from being done. The hit squad apparently not content with killing just one hatchery here to the right of this area. We're going to be going after whatever we can hit over here, too. I think he could have killed a second base. He was kind of dilly-dallying there for a while. Fungal growth in the meantime at the front. Movement as well on those 2 Banshees. Double Swarmos is coming up. Larry! Larry has got a friend! I don't have a name for the name of Larry, or the friend of Larry. Barry. Normally we only have Larry, but now we get Larry and Barry. What about the fight over here at the front, though? I don't think there's enough Terran, really, to deal more damage here, but it's certainly been an effective engagement. Ooh, if he could scan right now and kill those infestors, that would be big. Oh, he wants to have the cake and eat it, too. 17 drones end up going down, though, and this little hit squad over here is still dealing damage. Solar is being torn apart. Okay. 18 drones. Much like Ryung crumbled under the pressure of all the multitasking in the previous game, Solar is finding himself in a very similar situation now, and immediately there is another attack lined up over here on the left side. Ryung is smelling blood, so he's not actually making more Liberators, and I wonder if that's gonna bite him in the butt. He only has 2 of them out at this point in time. A lot of Ultras still available, and Ultras just don't really die that easily. Larry, the accidental swarm host, together with his best friend, hanging out on the left side of the map, just consuming supply. It's a little, yeah, a little unlucky. I hope they get a kill. Like, combined, you know? Like, they come in pairs, so I think it's okay if they get 1 kill. Obviously, a misclick, though. The way that the hotkeys work usually means that the swarm hosts can accidentally be hit. Oh, no. Close your eyes if you're a fan of Larry and Barry. Actually, I think Ryung shouldn't even kill them. Okay, you will kill them. But it's wasted supply. Hit the like button if you liked Larry and Barry. And if you feel sad for them. Yeah. Yeah, that's a rough moment. Oh well. Planetary Fortress now coming up yet again for Ryung. And he's once more making these moves around the flank. Ryung is a top laner and a bottom laner. He tries to move in through the middle. Doesn't seem to be nearly as successful. Fungal, Fungal, Fungal! Ooh, that's a big boy Fungal. Say goodbye to the Marauders. Ooh, wow. Those Medivacs came in for the rescue and then accidentally flew into the biles. That would be me if I was a Medivac. I'm coming for... I'm good. Okay, I'm dead. Yeah, so this was what I was mentioning, right? So, Ryung doesn't get Liberator range very fast. I don't know why. Like, he oftentimes gets the fusion core, but then he doesn't actually get the lib range. And now this is giving Solar, with these fungals especially, a chance to get back into the game. Now, that one was dodged nicely. Apparently, Zerg is going to try and move around the flanks of the map as well for a little bit. Ryung, though, is shifting gears now. Previously, he wanted to go all in. He wanted to try and see if he could win the game by about minute 15. It didn't happen. So instead, we go into mass command centers. He's adding on the 3rd armory. It's a lot of armories. He forgot that he already made a 2nd one. I guess he accidentally forgot he already made a 1st one. So now he's making a 2nd one in his mind, even though it's the 3rd. Anyways, there's the lib range. Fungal. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. Not when there's only 2 Zerglings. Maybe it would have prevented some of these units from getting picked up. We already did finish, by the way, all the researching in the engineering base. When you are going to play the big macro game and when you have a lot of money, we should certainly be going into the double upgrades there too for the Terran's armor, for the buildings. And then also, of course, for the range, for the planetaries, the missile turrets, and all the rest of it. Very nice upgrades to have if we do want to play the late game. Solar is sharking around the map yet again. Now, we only have 4 orbitals at this point. 4 orbitals. He really does need some more, so that's going to be 5 and 6. We have 3 more added into the mix over here. At least 3 command centers. We'll have to see if all of them become orbitals, or if it's just going to be some oracles. I apologize. Push over here at the bottom of the map, though, going in. And while the Ultras are dying, and we do get a nice fungal, it doesn't really matter all too much. Still a successful fight there for Ryung. Making some excellent plays around the map. Ultras moving in right now at the front. Man. The Ultras, though, are body blocking the Banelings. It's a little bit awkward, but the base will die. And that's an orbital command actually also dying. So I guess that's no Moracle. Or no Morbital? Dang. My orbital joke turned into an Oracle joke. No Oracles in this matchup last time I checked. Hatchery in the meantime also on the left side, though. Ended up falling. So it's been an eye for an eye across the board for a long time now. Resources lost heavily in favor of the Terran. He snuck out another command center here on the right side. And Solar not really finding nearly as much success with the Ultralisks as he did with the Lurkers in the previous game. Solar also forgetting the +3 melee upgrade. Because he accidentally tripped over the hotkeys there and he kind of contemplated, should I go missiles, should I go melee? He never actually finished up the 3. And that makes this entire setup kind of awkward for him. There's the building armor and the high-sec auto-tracking. Ryung making all the right moves. He did lose the command centers though, and that's painful. He still has 8. 8 orbitals, that is. This planetary has no backup other than one tiny little group of marauders. Say goodbye. Oh, wow. Oh, never mind. I thought somehow this marauder lived. It's going to try its very best. In the meantime, there is a flank coming in from the Terran player too. Widowmine. Careful. He's accidentally dealing a lot of damage to his own units. Ultra now catching up with a lot of his army. There's finally the Ghost showing up. They've been missing from this party for a long while. In the meantime, the Ultras are going in. Zergling run by as well on the left. We have a couple of the Corruptors being cycled around. Zerglings as well on the right, just being a bit of a nuisance. Ultimately, though, it's a lot of medevacs going down, a lot of SCVs dying, and a bit of a reset in the armies. I think that'll treat Solar just fine. He'll be at 76 workers still. Larry and Barry are on the units lost tab, but it's been a roller coaster in the income situation. But ultimately, it seems like Solar is getting there. Okay. 8 orbital commands remain, which should be more than enough. I will say, by the way, I've only seen maybe a dozen games or so on White Rabbit. About half of them seem to have been late games. These Team Liquid map contest maps are still relatively fresh. We've been playing on them for maybe a month now. But I do feel like White Rabbit, while not picked all too often, it is certainly a map that has a lot of, spicy games. I don't mind it. Solar forgetting the +3 melee is going to be a very significant problem for him if he ends up losing this match. I mean, it's one of those situations where maybe at some point you kind of look at the fight and you're like, wait, I thought you would get the kills faster, or maybe I thought that this engagement would go better for me. It's not entirely uncommon, though. We see it quite a lot these days, especially with the Roach-based openers. With the Roach-based openers, you usually go for one Evo chamber first, and you get Carapace going there, and then you get a second Evo a little later. Historically, you always saw those two at the same time, and it just makes the upgrades in sync. Not the case anymore, at least not in this game. Now, this is a very greedy base here from Solar. It's not going to happen. Nice pickup right there by Ryung. He wants to be neighbors with the Terran player really badly. And honestly, these two bases may be just the final ones on the map. Yeah, he still has a good bit of mining, but he is just moving through every time, knowing that if he is running reasonably low, then the Terran is likewise also going to be hurting. Some big fungal growths end up going down, and Ryung just took an absolute nosedive in the supply count. Wow. Can we just look at that engagement one last time? I moved my monitor there, or my screen there, right at the beginning of the fight, but let's look at the setup one more time. So this is when the hatchery dies over here. I think Solar must realize now that maybe the Terran's army, if he is struggling for money, maybe the Terran's army is not that big. He's got a big group of changelings going in. He notices that the medevacs are fully out of energy. Caduceus reactor was never researched. And that means that suddenly with some well-placed fungals, yeah, Ryung just fell apart in a matter of seconds. Brilliant engagement right there from Solar. Yeah, could not really have planned it much better. Sometimes you're so busy trying to just stay alive that you forget where your army is located, and apparently that is all that Solar needed there to look at the situation, take the opportunity, and then fungal his way to victory. Brilliant game of StarCraft 2. It's Solar obtains the victory 2-0, and I feel like this is the case with every Ryung result I've seen lately. Ryung is getting really close to winning against the very best players in the world, and he's playing some excellent StarCraft 2, but Solar was just slightly better.